What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're doing a Devy mock draft today, and we're looking at only freshmen. So as we kind of get into your supplemental drafts, or hey, where are we valuing these freshmen? We're giving you 60 today. 60 freshmen that you can take a look at. We're going to be looking at some film based from their high school tapes. What are they doing just in terms of like expectations moving forward into next year? Will we see some production there? And where are the value traps? That's what we're looking at as we go through this mock. So let's dive into it. So here's our first round. Jeremiah Smith went 101, Mika Hudson 102, Cam Coleman, Ryan Williams, TJ Moore, Ryan Wingo, JoJo Trader, Julian Sayin, Nate Frazier is the first running back off the board, Mike Matthews, DJ Lagway, and Dylan Raiola. So when you're looking at like who went where, you're looking at wide receiver heavy, right? We're really seeing the value at that wide receiver position. That's where people are building their Devy rosters. And the reason why is because you're seeing the Devy value hold there. That's really where the wide receiver position, you don't see a lot of volatility, right? Especially with the top guys. Those first 5, maybe 7 wide receivers in that range, they're probably going to hold their value just about how talented they are, where their recruiting ranking is, and just kind of expectations moving forward. Especially Jeremiah Smith. This kid's going top 3 in most drafts overall, right? Not just in the freshman drafts there. Interesting kind of looking at Nate Frazier kind of sneaking in there in the first round, the only running back taken. Mike Matthews there. DJ Lagway and the quarterbacks, you're really taking a shot there. Julian Sain's the guy that I've highlighted before on the last mock draft we did for Devy of like, hey, that guy's really good, and he might get some run out there at Ohio State early if those guys, Will Howard and some of those other guys, just don't pan out. But what we are going to do is we're going to take a look at a couple guys. So first, Jeremiah Smith. We got to talk about the best player, right? And best player is Jeremiah Smith. And when you're looking at what he does well, contested catchability, strong hands, athleticism. Those 3 things are just fundamental to his game. He is absolutely going to smash in that Ohio State offense. He looks ready to go right now. He got out there, earned it, black stripe, off, everything there that you like to see from Ohio State wide receiver, he did. 90 catches last year, 19 touchdowns, almost 1,400 yards. Number 1 recruit in terms of 247 Sports. And he's just a special kid. When you're thinking of like everything you hear about him, just character, right? I know Miami was coming at him hard. Nope, he stayed at Ohio State. Character matters. And I think that's a big part of his game. Now, we are going to watch a little tape just to show you guys kind of what you can expect from him as a prospect. You have to love his ability. He's just got strong hands. And then if you look at it here, that breakaway ability, right? Like his breakaway ability, just to kind of take it to that next level, he's special. Like that's just a special level athlete. And you have to love that about him when you're watching his tape. I've been doing this a while now because I'm old. He has some of the best tape I've seen from a wide receiver prospect. Like, and you just love what he's been there. Like people call him Julio Jones, his ability to go up and get it, high point. You have to love that about him. His ability to kind of I know I talked about, when you look at weaknesses or areas of improvement, not a lot of guys pressed him. Not a lot of teams pressed him. As you can see why, because he absolutely made him look silly out there. So because he didn't hit that, we'd like to see that a little bit more. He's going to see that in the Big Ten, obviously. But really, he was just that get up and go get it guy. One of my favorite catches right here. Just a lot of fun to watch play football, right? And the other thing, routes need a little bit of refinement. A lot of it for him, for Jeremiah Smith, was that I'm the best athlete out here. I'm going to crush you out here. And now he's got to be a little bit nuanced. But lucky for him, he went to the best place to do that. They are the best team to kind of develop routes and develop those things that you like to see from them. Now, the other guy I wanted to kind of highlight, because I don't think he's getting a lot of buzz out there, JoJo Trader from Miami. When you're looking at what he can do, he didn't have the production, right? Didn't see that 47 receptions, 757 yards, those type of thing, 14 touchdowns. But strength-wise, elite concentration on deep balls, fantastic in jump ball situations. You love what he does. Amazing athlete, great athlete, able to really kind of just showcase that athleticism out there on the field. And he is one of the best out there that we've seen. Areas of improvement for him, undersized maybe. That 180, you like to see him get up a little bit there. As a Z wide receiver, possibly, right? When we're thinking of what he's going to profile as at the next level. And his routes also have to improve. But for a lot of these young guys, we know that, right? That's why it's areas of improvement. We don't put really weaknesses anymore. It's not really fair to say that. It's just he's going to improve there. Some limited snaps at the receiver position, but man, he's talented. When you watch him, he's one of my favorites. Like I love this kid to death when you watch him on tape. Ability to get behind the defenses, you'll see this. One-on-one, 50-50 grabs, concentration grabs. He does all of that extremely, extremely well here. And able to take the top of the defense. And it would not shock me. Look at this catch. Freaking fantastic. Like that's what I love about JoJo Trader's film. You have to love what he can put on the tape, right? But he would not shock me to see him be Miami's wide receiver 1. They really need that guy to really step up for them in this offense, and his ability to kind of just be a playmaker. And look at this. I love the fact that he's just going to do a wide receiver pass and he gets it to this guy, scores a touchdown. To me, like, and the spreadsheet guys are going to hate this. He's a gamer, man. JoJo's a gamer. You see that about his film. He's just aggressive. He's a lot of fun to watch, and you can tell that he wants to be the best player on the football field. And I think those little things matter. You'll see it here in this little route, little stutter step inside, just deflates that cornerback there. Pretty bad throw there, and he should have scored a touchdown there. And you'll notice that his quarterback play wasn't the greatest that he had to play with. A lot of it was just huck and heave. But, dude, look at that concentration catch right there. I mean, he's the type of kid that makes me excited to do content. That's really where it comes down to. He's the type of player that you're like, this dude's a difference maker. He's a lot of fun. Now, let's jump over to the second round now. So this is where you're going to start seeing a lot of the running backs go. So you're going to see like, hey, where these running backs get valued at. Taylor Tatum's in there. Croman Hoke is there. Caden Durham, Bryant Wesco, Mylan Graham. Quentin Martin is a guy that's getting a little bit of buzz right now we're going to talk about. Jarrett Gibson, Cam Williams, Perry Thompson, Kedron Young, Cam Davis, Daniel Hill. So this is the area of the running backs. Who's going to be kind of that guy that steps up and kind of takes over as that dominant running back? You're seeing guys like Taylor Tatum, who's not an early enrollee. He's coming out next in the fall. Maybe he's going to have to take a little bit of a step back in that offense. Guys like that aren't getting valued as first-round guys anymore in these types of drafts. But the two players I want to kind of talk about, Quentin Martin from Penn State. I don't know if you've heard this before. Penn State draft or recruits running backs really well. We've seen a lot of great running backs out of there. Quarterbacks, not so much, but that's for another discussion. But what he does well and what Quentin Martin does well, receiving ability. Over 500 yards receiving, as well as 1,100 yards and 16 touchdowns on limited touches this last year in high school. Change of direction is special. We're gonna show you some runs out here that I was gleefully watching when I was cutting up the tape. He's just a lot of fun, man. Contact balance is really good, and at a size that, like, when you're looking at him, right, like 194. He's going to put on some weight. I wouldn't shock me to see him get up to 210. If he can keep that change of direction contact balance with that 210 number, oh, man, NFL scouts can be salivated over this kid. Areas of improvement, I mean, does have a high pad level when you're watching him. Pass blocking needs a little bit of work. That's always the case with these young guys. And he's going to work on his long speed, although he has it. Like when you're watching him, and we're going to kind of pop it on the tape here, he has that, but we just want to see that long speed kind of get a little bit quicker, faster. And I think long speed is overrated in terms of running backs, especially because of his change of direction, his contact balance. But just an area, right? Just an area to kind of talk about here. But you'll see it here. I mean, you can see how he's able to he definitely beats high school defenses, right? So he's got that long speed already. The pad level needs to come down a little bit, but if he can develop that long speed for the college level, you really like that. He's really a man amongst boys out here when you're watching some of his tape and his highlights. But again, you have to like what he puts on the field. Now, again, right here, you'll see it here. He looks to kind of bounce it every time. So you're going to really want to see him kind of, hey, can you kind of, the vision's good. I like that you're able to kind of, bounce it to the outside and see that. But how good a nuance are you as a runner? But you'll see it here. His change of direction and his kind of lateral ability, you have to love that. Kind of breaking it out here, able to really take it to that next level for the most part in high school. And that's why I said areas of improvement. He's still going to be able to do that. But there's a couple runs on here that you're going to watch here. And again, this is, I think, we talk about upside from a receiving standpoint. He has that. So, when you're looking at the top running backs in fantasy, what do they all do well? They catch passes. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, all these guys, Breece Hall. It's really the cheat code. Well, he's got that too. So when you're thinking of him, he's got ability to do that, able to kind of make guys miss here, going up open field. Like, you love that about him. He's in a perfect system for him as a running back. When you're looking at that Penn State system, his strengths really fit well. His receiving ability and change of direction, you have to like that. Now, next guy on here is Kedron Young. When we're talking about Young, the reason why I like him, 6 foot 229. So when you're thinking of guys that are just ready to go, dudes, that's Young. Polished runner in all areas. He has really good vision and cutback ability. Have to love that. Areas of improvement for Young. No receiving profile, really. I think he can do it, and that's the hard part when you're trying to measure this. I had someone come at me on social media about him, and they said, well, what can he catch? Well, I don't think we know yet, right? High school level, some of these guys just weren't asked to do that, and he really wasn't asked to do that yet. He has the rushing side down, though. 226 attempts, 1,300 yards, and 15 touchdowns. Pass blocking definitely needs a little bit of a work. And then again, kind of that long speed area there, but does have good cutback ability. And I love him going to Notre Dame. they've been producing running backs out of there too, right? Kyron Williams, Audric Estime. Now, we're not talking about draft capital first round guys, but they have been able to kind of show up and be out there and give you some production from an NFL standpoint. And when you're just watching it on here, and this, I always love that on tape when guys add their own edits. Pretty good here. Good contact balance in between the tackles. You'll see that here. Able to put his shoulder down and just kind of run through guys. This is the runs that like I love as just an old school guy. It's really what drew me to actually Audric Estime. I was one of the first guys 3 years ago. I did a video on a channel and I talked about him, man, he's pretty fun. He's special. Look at that little nuance kind of move there. Not the best burner, right? He's not going to be that guy that breaks off these 100-yard runs, 50-yard runs, those type of guys. But those in between the tackle moves, it'll make those guys miss there. Little subtle movements right there, right? Like little subtle movements there. And he can do this at the high school level. When I'm talking about long speed, I'm saying, hey, how well does he address that at the next level, right? Big 10 level is a little different, but you love to see what he does on tape here. This is probably like where he goes at that he's going to probably do well at Notre Dame in between the tackles. They're going to use him in the red zone. They're going to allow him to kind of just be this kid that's going to be able to make guys miss at that level. And then he's going to break it here. Scored a ton of touchdowns. And to me, I love Young. I think Young's one of my favorite players in this class, and I love his value where he's going right now. Now, in the third round, we have, Kenway Lacey, CJ Carr in there from Notre Dame, Jordan Marshall, Jeremiah McClellan, Xavier Jordan. I know that Andy Pham did a piece on him in terms of like what we can expect from him coming up. Courtney Crutchfield, James Peoples, Jaden Baugh, Tara Anderson, Kevin Riley is a guy that Jay Stein really likes from an analytical metric, and he's a guy that I think you guys should also kind of get on your radar. If Jay Stein likes him, he does a lot of work for us on our Devy guide and our Patreon and everything there. To me, he hits a lot of markers that you like from the film base. And if Jay's talking about him from an analytical profile, I think he's someone that we should kind of keep our eye on. Now, as far as the two guys I want to highlight here, CJ Carr to me is an interesting prospect. And I know that like people are going to say I'm a hater because I'm a Michigan fan. He didn't choose Michigan. I like CJ Carr a lot, and I like him at value. Third, fourth round is not a bad shot to take him on because I do like the things he does well. Has good mechanics, accuracy, really layers the ball well. I think from just that layer in the ball perspective, he knows how to do that. He's very cerebral. Obviously, the grandson of Lloyd Carr is going to be very cerebral, know the game really well, big, good football player. The areas of improvement, decision-making, definitely has those turnovers. Ability to throw the ball downfield is the one area we got to see. Can he be a deep guy? So, really, what's going to make or break it for him from an NFL perspective is he show that he can throw a deep ball. If he can do that, I think he's got NFL potential. If he doesn't show that, then yeah, we're going to be a little bit worried there. And I think the timing goes with the decision-making is at times with him. But you have to love the numbers that he has. 199, 292, 27 yards, 24 touchdowns. And really what stands out to me is his intangibles. Now, this is the last film we're going to kind of watch these guys. But I just wanted to show just kind of, it's not perfect, right? But he knows where to get the ball to. And when you're watching high school quarterbacks, which are notoriously hard to scout because you just don't know who they're playing against, you just don't know if it's going to translate well. The one thing that does translate well is layering the ball, right? It's not just physical tools. He has those. He's got physical tools. But if a kid has the mental tools and knows where to get the ball to me, that moves him up the board a little bit. And there's just something about him. Every time I go into this quarterback class, which I think has a ton of question marks, I keep coming back to loving what Carr does on the field, right? And it might be just more of he's a college quarterback. Maybe he doesn't have the NFL upside that maybe I think that he does. But I think he can be a serviceable college quarterback at Notre Dame. He's the type of kid that could start next year if they don't go in the transfer portal again. And I think he has that ability. I think he has that. And you'll watch it here. Like there's little nuances of his tape. Like that's a rope, getting the ball across the middle and getting to them and knowing where to get it to. And this is where that functional athleticism comes from Carr. Able to kind of, escape the pass rush, keeps his eyes down the field, still may be able to throw here. Like those plays that excite me, right? And you can talk all the noise you want out there, but I love those plays. Those plays are a lot of fun for me to watch. Now, the other guy I want to highlight, we're not going to watch this tape though. Jaden Baugh is a guy, I'm a Florida Gator fan. You're going to come after me. But Jaden is a heck of a production standpoint from a running back, right? 1,500 yards, 19 touchdowns, does have a receiving profile, was an athlete. So he was rated as an athlete coming in. It looks like Florida's going to make him a running back. And he could get some run this year, right? Losing Trevor Etienne. Like, he could be one of those guys that gets run early. Looked pretty good in the spring game. Shiftiness in the open field. North-south kid. One cut go, going to get up the field there. Long speed pass blocker. And then I think the thing with him, because he's so big at 6'2", 237, that initial burst got to get a little better. So footwork, kind of that explosiveness is one area that you're going to need to watch with him. But opportunity is there for him. Now, the last 2 rounds here, in the 4th round, you're going to be getting a lot of wide receivers, right? You're going to be looking at those wide receiver areas and values. Guy like Nykar is an example of that. Running back that is interesting is Dylan Jones from Wisconsin. He's actually, I think, getting slept on a little bit out there. But the guy I want to highlight, Nick Marsh. I think that Michigan State's going to have an underrated offense this year, and you have to like what they've been able to do, and that new coaching staff, Jonathan Smith coming in. I think it's a lot of fun out there, and I think that Nick Marsh fits it. Now, I don't know if he's going to get on the field right away, but he's got athleticism. Catch radius is good. Contested catch ability. Athleticism is really good there. They've needed a guy like Marsh, right, for a while. They had Keon Coleman there, but just didn't have the offense to surround him. I think Marsh fits that profile really well. Now, areas of improvement, his routes really need refinement. Really raw from that perspective. Separation issues against man. He's going to need time to develop into a deep threat too. I think he does a lot of good things right. Like, he can catch the football. Check one. Check that box, right? He can do that. Contested catch, athleticism, catch radius. Now, they need to turn him into a full receiver. If they do that, I think Marsh could kind of rise up boards. I think I wouldn't shock me to see that. Now, other guys here in the 5th round, we got Carter Nelson. We're getting some tight ends now. That's when you know we're getting deep here. Jaden Davis from Michigan, quarterback, Isaiah Canyon. Aeneas Williams is an interesting one. If you wanted to take a running back Notre Dame, but you didn't feel comfortable with Kedron Young in the late 2nd, Aeneas Williams is a guy to take in the 5th round. I think he's got talent and value there. Gatlin Barr is another one, is interesting because he's going on his mission for 2 years. He's going to Oregon. So that's a stash. That's not really a guy that I would definitely probably draft. I don't want to stash a guy in Devy for 2 years. Johan Cardenas is a guy I wrote about in our Substack. If you haven't checked that out, I think about some 3-star guys that I really like. And going to Vanderbilt in the 5th round is not a bad value. The guy I wanted to highlight, though, Isaiah Canyon is an interesting one. Now, truth be told, I fall in love with his profile a little bit. And so I do miss on some. But 90 catches, 1,400 yards, and 16 touchdowns in high school last year is nothing to sneeze at, right? I know he's number 54 overall, but late picks with that Georgia Tech offense that is underrated. Georgia Tech's offense is not the old Georgia Tech offense that we remember. This is a really, really good offense here. Contested catchability, strong hands, and the thing that they mentioned, that they mentioned about Isaiah, intangibles, and leadership. They love this kid. He's very raw. Very limited snaps as a receiver. He really played receiver last year. That was pretty much it. Very raw there, but they love him. They're able to pick up on the offense. They've talked about his ability to get out on the field. I think he's going to get some run this year. I really like him. He's going to need time to develop, but I think he's one of those guys that's athletic enough and good enough to get in the field early, and then that's when you're going to find that development. Now, the other guys that didn't get drafted, I want to put on the board out there. Aaron Nolan from Ohio State, Luke Reynolds, Christian Benacore, Braylon Staley, Amir Jackson, Michael Smith, Tuggle from Georgia, Baker from TCU, Bryce Kane from Auburn, Jonathan Paler from NC State, Chance Robinson, Ryan Pelham. Some of the other freshmen that are coming in that you should just kind of be aware of as you go in there. And as always, if you want more and more of these rankings and Devy content, we have our draft Devy guide that you can get out there. We have our new ranking system, which we just kind of opened up in our Devy rankings. We have Devy rankings, Dynasty combined rankings for you guys out there. All of the other content, our Substack, all of that can be had for just $5. You get that for $5. Andy Fans writing great articles, Christian, Jay Stein, all of us, all for just to help you win your leagues on the NFL side, the fantasy side. And if you like draft coverage, we're going to be doing a little bit of draft coverage as well. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. I really do. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let us know how we're doing. Drop a comment below. Appreciate you guys.